What's up, everyone? Welcome to the June 10th edition of DraftKings Tournament Plays presented by Prize Picks. I'm your host, Adam Scherer. You can follow me on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. And as a reminder, use the code Awesemo when you sign up and make a deposit at Prize Picks. You'll receive 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. You'll also receive a 100% deposit bonus up to $100 on that first deposit. We have a full 15-game MLB slate tonight. Every team in the league is playing. As usual, you're going to take a look at 3 of the top tournament stacks and 3 of the top tournament pitchers on tonight's slate, starting with the top stacks. Number 3, the Chicago White Sox. They're projected for 3% aggregate ownership with a 4% chance of being the top scoring stack and a 7% chance of being the top value stack. They're taking on Glen Otto, who has struggled this season. He's only struck out 19% of hitters. He has a 4.8 xFIP. The White Sox offense has struggled as well. Only an 85 WRC plus and a 122 ISO for the White Sox. So this is one of those spots where it's a pitcher who hasn't been very good, an offense who hasn't been very good. One side most likely going to win out. So the White Sox right now projected to be a little bit underowned. They do have a watered down lineup as well, but you still have Yohan Moncada, Jose Abreu, Luis Robert, Yasmani Grandal sort of anchoring this lineup. You can certainly build around those guys tonight against Otto. Number 2, the Toronto Blue Jays projected for 8% ownership with an 8% chance of being the top scoring stack and a 2% chance of being the top value stack. They have a favorable matchup tonight against Elvin Rodriguez in Detroit. Rodriguez has really struggled through his first 4 major league appearances. 19.4% strikeout percentage, 5.04 xFIP. He's allowed over 3 home runs per 9 innings. That number almost certainly comes down as the sample size gets larger, but that doesn't mean that it needs to happen tonight, as he has a difficult matchup against Toronto. The Blue Jays active roster has a 109 WRC plus and a 162 ISO so far this season. There's power top to bottom in this lineup, and while they are expensive, they are projected to be a little bit underowned, or I guess correctly owned. Certainly not a team that you're looking to avoid because of ownership, and they are one of the they have one of the best top stack percentages on the slate. And number 1, the Baltimore Orioles projected for 7% aggregate ownership with a 7% chance of being the top scoring stack and a 7% chance of being the top value stack tonight against John Heasley in Kansas City. Heasley has only struck out 12.8% of hitters this season, 6.25 xFIP. Baltimore has been about a league average offense this year with a 99 WRC plus and a 148 ISO. Now, looking at the top 3 tournament pitchers, number 3, Tyler Mcgill, $9,700 price tag, taking on the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Mcgill has struck out 25.7% of hitters with a 3.2 xFIP so far this season. The Angels offense started out extremely well. They've cooled off significantly since then. They currently have a 102 WRC plus on the season, but also a 26.5% strikeout percentage. Mike Trout is banged up, may or may not be in the lineup. No Taylor Ward. So you're talking about 3 of the best hitters in baseball, 2 for sure in Trout and Ohtani, and then Ward. So far this season's been great, but possibly missing 2 of those 3 guys. And after that, it's a pretty bad Angels lineup. So it sets up as a good spot here for Mcgill. He's projected for 5% ownership with an 11% chance of being a top 2 pitcher and a 3% chance of being a top 2 value pitcher. Number 2, Luis Garcia taking on the Miami Marlins. Miami has been above average offensively with a 106 WRC plus, but they also have a healthy 23.5% strikeout percentage. Garcia has struck out 23.5% of hitters himself with a 4.04 xFIP so far this year. He's $9,100, projected for 12% ownership with a 12% chance of being a top 2 pitcher and a 4% chance of being a top 2 value pitcher. And number 1, Spencer Strider, $7,000, taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Strider is projected to be overowned in terms of ownership versus top 2 pitcher percentage. He's projected for 35% ownership. He has about a 14% chance of being a top 2 pitcher, but he also has a 17% chance of being a top 2 value pitcher, which is one of the best marks on the slate. He threw 87 pitches in his last outing. That is the most he's thrown all season long. So it appears he's fully stretched out. He only went 4 innings in that game, but he threw 87 pitches. So there's no reason to think that he can't give you more innings and that he can't go a little bit deeper into tonight's game. He has the highest strikeout percentage on the slate so far this season at 36.8%, a 2.94 xFIP. And on top of that, he has a favorable matchup against the Pirates, who have a 93 WRC plus and a 24.4% strikeout percentage on their active roster. So while Strider is pulling a lot of ownership, and normally I point out guys that their top pitcher percentage is higher than their ownership percentage, Strider's a little bit different because he is so mispriced for his upside. He certainly stands out as one of the top options tonight. So to recap, the top 3 tournament stacks on DraftKings: number 3, the Chicago White Sox; number 2, the Toronto Blue Jays; and number 1, the Baltimore Orioles. And the top 3 tournament pitchers: number 3, Tyler Mcgill; number 2, Luis Garcia; and number 1, Spencer Strider.